Hello, my name is James Welch, and I'm here today to talk to you about e-commerce in Europe and to share some tips to help you boost your online sales. I'm from a company called Future Facing, and we're based in the UK, and we help people do just that. Use performance marketing to boost online sales. So without further ado, let's get into this presentation. In the meantime, if you do have any questions, you can ping me at my email address, james@futurefacing.co.uk, or get in touch directly with your colleagues at Edx Education. So here we go. Here in part one, we're going to go into details regarding what the opportunity really is today, and then have a chat in part two about how we can make a real difference going forwards. What I really want us to do is to look at the key areas that we need to explore to ensure that we're not missing out on long-term brand building and short-term sales. These areas we'll look at when we talk about how brand building for the long term is something that will happen. So they talk about brand over time, sales overnight. That's what we're looking to achieve here with performance marketing. Ken Robinson, the UK's most famous educator, was talking always about aiming high. Now, his conversation was saying how we should be helping children aim high. Actually, for us, we should be aiming high with our performance marketing. And there are various things that we can put in place to make sure that we're meeting the objectives, we're monitoring what we're doing to capture the data in the right place at the right time so that we do more of the stuff that works and less of the stuff that doesn't work. So the problem isn't that we aim too high and fail, it's just the opposite. We're aiming too low and succeeding, as Sir Ken said. Let's have a look at what that means for us today. So, there's the expression, may you live in interesting times. Well, these are indeed interesting times that we're living in. 2020 has been an unusual year. So, the new normal, as we're calling it, what is that really for us? Well, Les Binet is a very famous advertising man, and he wrote a piece recently in the World Advertising Research Centre's opinion pages, walk.com, and the link is at the bottom of the screen there, and this will be sent out as a PDF if you were to request it from your colleagues at Edx Education. What Les Binet is talking about is this recession is not a normal recession. This is a social crisis. So the normal rules of business may not apply for a while. If the normal rules of business are not applying for a while, what does that mean for us? It means that different businesses face very different problems, and those problems will change as the crisis proceeds. So there's not one size fits all solution. So we need to make sure that we are behaving according to the size of our business within the marketplace that we're in. And this is what we're going to address today, looking at some of the other examples of what other people are doing in the market. But there's a massive opportunity. Carpe diem, as they say, seize the day. The opportunity here is to grasp the fact that people are looking for online solutions. If you don't want to go out to the shops, you go online. The interesting piece from this Market Watch publication, and the link is there as well, is to say that shoppers will pay more for the same item online versus in store. What that means is they don't want to catch coronavirus. Okay, they're prepared to pay more for it to stay home. Now that's interesting because normally we knew that digital was the environment where people hope to pay less because the supply chain is less. They wanted to pay the same or less. People aren't just looking for bargains online anymore. And therefore, we should be making the most of this. But most advertisers aren't. There are less advertisers advertising during the COVID-19. The coronavirus has brought advertisers back into their shells. If they're not spending their money online or on any advertising, that means the publishers are more desperate for advertising dollars, which means that they will lower the cost of putting in advertisements into their publications, which means that will drop the price of the acquisition of new customers. So the cost per acquisition goes down on Google and Facebook and other platforms. And again, there's an interesting article on that, which this links to how DTC founders think. So how direct-to-consumer founders are thinking today, how the startup in e-commerce founders are thinking. This is an opportunity. And we can indeed take that opportunity ourselves. So with that as a context, let's talk today about what the industry is doing and to try and entice us to spend money with them so that we know how to play the game according to their rules. And then in the second episode, we'll start to see how we do things differently ourselves and how other brands are doing things. Today is really just looking at what the publishers want from us. GAFA. Have you heard of GAFA? That's Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. So GAFA are the big tech platforms in the Western world. And let's add to that Snapchat, TikTok, and Shopify and start to see what they're doing. And that's what the core part of today's presentation is going to look at, is how these platforms have a keen focus on direct to consumer, which is a nice way of talking about e-commerce. It used to be about us selling stuff. Now it's about us going directly to particular audiences. And that, again, talking about how parents are changing their outlooks is something that we'll talk about in the next episode. Today, let's look at the platforms. So, Google. Google, the owner of YouTube, of course, or rather the holding company Alphabet that owns both Google Search and YouTube, amongst other businesses, making video shoppable. This is an interesting phenomenon as we start to see different ways of buying things in different places. So one used to go to Google to watch videos. Now it's a place where you can watch the video and shop at the same time. So this video here on the right is taken directly from that link that's there, which is on Google's own blog, talking about how it's making it easier for you to inspire people to take action on YouTube, i.e. you can push your products whilst the advertisement is playing. This is something that we can take advantage of today. On the other hand, Apple is making it more of a safe environment, so harder to have your data sold to other advertisers, to other third parties. So with that in mind, we know that Apple are creating their own walled garden, or always had their own walled garden of advertising in their own space. We expect to see some new developments as to how they can help us sell products to consumers through their infrastructure in due course. So it's one to watch that space. Facebook, tried and tested by us all. Right now, there are various issues as to why some advertisers are avoiding spending extra money on Facebook. But what we want to be doing is to see how we can take advantage of it. They've introduced Facebook shops. And Facebook shops will probably take 5% of sales as a fee. But if that's new sales that we wouldn't have had otherwise, then it's probably worth looking at. So how we can have that, it's in line with the Instagram checkout. So we really need to be looking at what we can get on Facebook. Instagram, Victoria Beckham, Posh Spice here, selling her products. And the example here is that she's starting to sell more online. So Instagram profiles are being tested with their post captions where you can add a product tag, which when tapped will take you through to a shoppable product page. Now this is being tested with a smaller group of accounts, including Victoria Beckham in the US, so that they can use the checkout function with this in it. But more sales directly through Instagram are going to be coming your way. Amazon, the frenemy, and I love this picture because it just makes me smile. So here we have Jeff Bezos being pictured as Dr. Evil from the Austin Powers series of films. Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, who here being portrayed as the bad person, but he is indeed a frenemy. Frenemy was a term coined by chap called Martin Sorrell, who created the advertising conglomerate WPP and has now set up a new one called S4. Martin Sorrell, when he coined the term frenemy, was talking about Google and Facebook being both on the one hand your friend because you want to be selling things through them, on the other hand they're your enemy because they represent the publishers and so they will be doing things with your data that is difficult to get hold of. So if we talk about what Amazon is today as our frenemy, they have, according to this lovely infographic by FinShots, they're at war with everyone. They have all sorts of products that are in the inner green circle here. On the outer circle, we can look at some of the competitors within the same space. The big red star on the left is highlighting the e-commerce part of this, where we have Amazon.com or .co.uk or .fr or whichever country we're particularly interested in today, and talking about some of the local competitors, eBay of course, but also things like Flipkart in India and Facebook's in there too. Amazon may not be in your country right now, but it may well be coming soon. I used to live in Dubai and there was no Amazon. There was a thing called Souk. And Souk in the Gulf is now Amazon.ae. In fact, it was only last month that Souk in Bahrain changed its name to Amazon. So it's now rebranding across the region, across Arabia. Amazon is coming across the region, but if it's not Amazon, there will be other marketplaces that are worth trying to work out what the cost per acquisition of new customers are going to be on each of these different marketplaces. So Lazada in Southeast Asia, which is largely owned by Alibaba. And Lazada is an interesting piece which we can have a quick chat about because Edx Education has done some successful work across that in Southeast Asia. Now, there's eBay, and there's an opportunity to set up shops there too. But it's interesting what the venture capitalist says in the tweet below. Connie Chan says, the next Amazon competitor is likely going to look like a social or video app, not a shopping app. What's interesting here is what we've just seen from YouTube, and they're trying to create a shopping experience as well. So what are we going to be looking for? Well, that depends on how we start to use Amazon as a whole and how we can make it relevant to us, because consumers go there to search for things. Look at all those different products that are available on there, or all the different products that they own. There's a good reason for consumers to be going to Amazon as their friend. And if they're looking for things to do this weekend, or if they're looking for things to buy for their friends or for their own children, then that's a good place to search. So we want to make sure that we have a good presence within that. And in the next episode, we'll talk more about how to do that. Shopify is the e-commerce website, which is a place where it's quite easy, comparatively easy, to build a site where one can sell. And they are starting to do partnerships with a bunch of retailers. And the first one is Walmart in the US. So Shopify and Walmart are being put together purely as an opportunity to take on Amazon. So my enemy's enemy is my friend. And this construct is often used with Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple. And the anti-Amazon camp keeps growing. Walmart and Shopify have partnered to make it easier for Shopify stores to access the Walmart marketplace. And this is taken from a great little newsletter that I read every week, and it has an edition called Merchants. So this link here underneath the writing on the right is worth clicking through to and subscribing, just so you can see what is going on in Europe and globally in the way of direct-to-consumer and e-commerce and the merchant story, to see if there's some good case studies that we can borrow from. Snapchat has just announced its all-new dynamic ads. Dynamic ads mean that the ads are updated dynamically without you having to do very much. So if you update your website with your new products, or the new price, or the new imagery of the same products, or the new headline for it, they will scrape your site and take those images and those prices and those the copywriting that you're doing and amend the advertisements accordingly. So this is an opportunity to show how Snapchat is trying to stay one step ahead. They say their audience is fabulously 19 to 35-year-old people, and that's maybe a little bit young for us and our audiences, but it may well be worth experimenting and starting to see if selling directly on Snapchat is an environment that brings down the cost of acquisition of new customers. And then finally, TikTok, the buzz that everyone's talking about, and how do you monetize TikTok? Well, good question. TikTok on its own is starting to take your advertising dollars quite happily. And in return, they're recommending different ways to sell, and they have a bunch of case studies that are there. So there's a link here from a magazine called Glossy, how TikTok is driving Amazon beauty sales. And here it talks about the I'm Meme, and I'm Meme is a makeup company, and they are using TikTok it's their #1 driver for them, and it's for sales on Amazon, because they think that's easiest, says Dino Ha, the CEO. He says, I think we'll keep it that way because it's working right now. We're trying to understand what the TikTok audience in the community is all about and what they prefer. Well, aren't we all wondering what they're about? But he's doing something about this. He's testing it with video and driving people through to Amazon. So it's just looking at how the different channels can start to work together. So at the end of this first episode, what I'd like to do is just to quickly recap 2020, yes, we have some strange times, but let's take advantage of it. Let's aim high. Let's remember the long-term brand building is easily built by short-term marketing opportunities. And we've had a look at the different channels that we can start to look at. The opportunity is that there is cheaper advertising space in there. So these online places where parents are going to be researching and buying, we need to make sure that we have an inkling of different ways to use these different tech platforms, the marketplaces and social channels, so that we can start to see which audiences are buying from us online, where and when. So in the next episode, we'll talk about how parents are seeking information. We'll have tips to get our information seen first. We'll have tips on what other brands, taken from other brands and what they are doing. And then there's some content readily available from the Edx Education team. So we'll bring all that together in the next episode. Thank you very much for joining me today. My contact details are there, or do get in touch with the team at Edx Education. Thank you for your time.